Okay, so now we'll go back into MuleSoft Vibes, and we're going to create a specification. But before, let's see, there we go. Okay, so we start off with a specification. But before we do, I want to start by creating an agentic-based API designing an API that is agentic-based. So I want to get this in place and be sure to, this is the order specification. We want to be sure to notice it's OAS for the specification. And we also want to be sure to click on the enable this API for agent topic and actions. Okay, so that's going to add the metadata and the topic information we need. So this is just AnyPoint Code Builder functionality first. Okay, so we're creating the project. It is a API specification. And here is the start of our specification. Okay, so for our specification, we start off with a scaffold specification here. And this is where we will go in and change over into Vibes to create the details of our specification for orders. That is not needed to be open, so you have a better view of what's going on here. So we should go into Vibes. There we go. And under Vibes, we'll start speaking in plain language what we want to do. Okay. So I have copied a simple prompt that basically says what we want this order API to do. But it's not a very long prompt. I purposefully kept it very short so that we could get a feel for its ability to ask us questions. Notice I just say I want to create an agentic ready API specification for a GET request for orders for order and order ID. Switching back over into plan mode, sending in that request or that prompt. And again, you're going to see Vibes go and tell us what it's doing up here. It's acknowledging a request. It's going to ask us questions and continue forward from here. We are using OAS, so it is a YAML file. It sees that we have an existing one. And so it's asking us, what we want to do. And I'm telling it, yes. Really, yes to everything. I just said yes. I didn't even answer everything specifically. But it does know about the tagging. Notice the tagging is there. Our endpoints are here. At some point, I will tell it to use basic, common values or something like that. But it's already built a lot of this out. I could even be more specific here if I wanted to. and tell it exactly the fields, etc. And again, remember, this is a specification. This is the beginning of the life cycle of an API. Yeah, this was sent in. So this is really good to understand how the vibes prompt to a result development flow is working. So really gives clarity to us entering in the prompts, the MCP server interacting with this, the Salesforce Agentforce layer actually reaching out to those LLMs to provide information, and then the Mule AI quality pipeline is in effect there. So it's really building a lot of this out as we go through, and then our final code, and we can validate the code and use that code going forward. So this is a great visual for that. All right, so we come back to our specification, and it is got everything we need. I think, I don't know if we switch over and go ahead and act on it at this point. Plan created, there is our plan, there's the order fields. So we can see that it has generated the details there. Okay, good enough. If you needed additional fields, you could. I was just going through, the what it auto-generated just to show what its capabilities are. And we even have our agentic details, defined scope, instructions, etc. I flipped it over to act, and then it is going to build out the code. It auto triggers it into the action mode or act to where it's going to create our code for us. And again, this specification is going to be agentic ready, meaning that when we publish this to Exchange and use it later, that it will have the tags necessary in Exchange that will also recognize these elements in API catalog when we go to use this in the Agentforce segment, the topics and scope and actions. Well, the actions won't be defined, but the topics will. So that will automatically synchronize into the Agentforce side. Okay. So, wow, look at this. The scope, the instructions, you have everything that has been defined. It's still working too. Pretty impressive. Now with OAS, we can see that it's putting a lot of the examples, data types all in line. That's how OAS is structured. So everything is going to be included in the block of code, which is why it's getting pretty long. You can see it's kind of long there. Security's also added. All right, I do believe it is ready. It is wanting to change directory to parse our code. Okay, so we can parse it. Notice the command right above that that's pending. Okay, and like I said, you can automatically approve those. I just wanted to keep halting it so we could see what it was doing. All right, so it's good to go. I'm going to go ahead and now switching back over to Anypoint Code Builder, I'm going to go ahead and publish this to Exchange. There we go. Okay, so it does in fact get published to Exchange once we fill this out. And you can see the tags there. Notice the tags SF API catalog and SF API topic. That means something on the Salesforce side in Agentforce. And you'll see that going forward, not in the Vibes workshop, but I'm going to continue on with this project. And I will share how to use this in Agentforce. Okay, so we can double check at any point platform and Exchange. And we should see it there. Now it's asking, do we want to go ahead and implement this? Which means, do we want to go ahead and use our specification to create an implementation? And it will auto-generate our implementation using the API Kit Router plugin. There is our asset right there. Okay, so we can say yes to this. We can go ahead and allow it to create an implementation. I don't know what I was saying at that point. That's where we publish to Exchange. I might have been reviewing it or showing someone how to do that. Can implement this local API. We're going to go up and implement it at the top. Yeah, we can go to Exchange there. Several different ways to do that. Publish to Exchange, upper right. So we've got, just check the icons. That's the primary thing. And from here, we can choose yes to go ahead and implement this specification, meaning do we want to use it as a interface for our application? So yes, I'm saying orders app and giving it some kind of a name for the application itself. Okay, once we do that, it is looking for there we go, our folder, our target folder, and latest runtime, the latest Java. And again, all of this is Anypoint Code Builder. None of this is Vibes you're seeing right now. This is all Anypoint Code Builder. And now it has completed creating our application. So you can go to source. And it's still creating it. Bottom right, still creating it. There we go. There's our POM file, source main resource, or source main mule. There is our XML. Okay, and then you can see this is our main flow. So this is like the API Kit router flow, main, and then you can see the other flows that were generated. There's the console as well as the two endpoints. Okay, and so it has now created our application. And we did find that we had issues with this trying to deploy. I did not send that over to the engineer yet to see what's going on with that, but there were some challenges in regards to running this. It did fail when it ran, but it did also keep troubleshooting it. So I'll let you watch that also. It's going to continue on with without voiceover to show the troubleshooting of some of that we dealt with. But it was pretty impressive that it would troubleshoot so much. And then we also move forward with the rest of the program. And the next part of the program was creating data weave code. And we saw some of that even in the Hello World. We worked with some of the, yeah, you'll see when we run this. Or am I going to do some vibes here? I don't remember exactly what I did here. I think I'm reviewing some of that here. So we'll let this continue. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, I try to deploy it, but it does fail. You can see it here. You say, yes, this is normal. Yeah, and then it fails. And then we continue to troubleshoot it and troubleshoot it. And it seems to have a problem. I don't know if it does it on this one, but there's a corrupt Maven module. And so we had to, we didn't so much in the workshop. I kind of cut it off at that point because I knew I had dealt with that before. But you can see it through here, and even troubleshooting it, it will, give us, it'll go through and try to clear up and delete that corrupt module, and then rebuild it, and it reloads that corrupt module. There's something going on with that I will have an answer for. I have not. See, I'll tell it to troubleshoot the failed deployment. And it does. It troubleshoots it. It's pretty impressive to see a lot of that. So I'll leave it run through and let that continue to show you how it's troubleshooting that. It was, like I said, it was pretty impressive that it would go through different things. You'll recognize what it's doing if you've worked with Maven before and kind of get a feel for what it's that it is, clearing things out, deleting that module, working with the M2 folder. So anyways, it'll go through all those paces. But I'll stop the voiceover at this point and let this run through. I think we go to lunch next. So I'll let the recording continue playing for some of this. See Maven clean compile. And then it just loads in that corrupt module each time. There it is. That one right there. I highlighted it. So this is good. We can send this over and see. Maybe we missed a step. I don't know, but certainly can find out. So like I said, I'm going to pause the voiceover and let this continue.